Beginning of the year, I believe, unless we have something come up. Right. I want to recognize Mr. Brother Paul Crowley. You can give us the prayer.
I think there's a conspiracy. Last time I came and prayed, I had to go buy a car tag. And when I get through now, I gotta go buy a tag.
Well, we're open.
I'm sure.
They'll take your money.
Yes, absolutely. Let's pray. Father, we're grateful for this time of year when our hearts are to be filled with joy and the concept and idea of giving. Father, we thank you that we celebrate the greatest gift that's ever been given as you gave us the gift of love through your Son, Jesus Christ. And so, Father, I pray for this board and for these that work for this county. Father, I pray that you'll give them wisdom and insight in what they do, Father. I pray that you'll guide their decisions that they make. And Father, that you'll help them as you help all of us as citizens this time of year, Father, and then let it carry throughout the year. That we will give thought and concern to others before we do ourselves, and that we will carry with us the desire to be giving, the desire to serve, the desire to do what is best for those around us, Father, so that their lives can be improved and that you can receive the glory for that. We thank you for the blessings that we've experienced this year, and we continue to experience you're a good God and you're good to us, even when we're not as good to you as we should be. And so forgive us, Father, where we fail you, and forgive us, Father, of when we put ourselves first ahead of everyone else. Help us, Lord, to keep our eyes fixed upon you and to follow the example that you've given to us through your Son, Jesus Christ. It's in his name that we pray.
Amen. And Paul used to work for us.
Yeah.
He became a preacher. That's why he's a preacher.
Supervisor Latin, please do the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we lost one of our beloved sheriff deputies, I think about a week or so ago. So we want to do a moment of silence on his behalf, as well as Ms. Tibbler. Yeah. So we can do a moment of silence for both, please. Thank you. Before we get into the agenda, we recently hired a new zoning director, and I want to introduce Mr. Eric Nolan to everyone.
Good luck.
God be with
First up, we're going to recognize Andre and Julia Ocha of MetLife, Mississippi LLC to discuss amending ordinance to include their invalid transport service.
That's what I thought it said, but I think it's
Emblem.
But I was wondering the same thing. Well, it's spelled that.
Good morning. I'll state your name and address for the.
My name is Julie Fichet. It's my husband.
Hey,
Husband
how you
Andre.
doing?
Yeah, bless her heart.
We
Why
are-
you say that? I thought we was better than that. Good morning, how y'all doing? All right, what do we need to do first time up here? Yeah, just kind of go ahead and state your reason why we feel that we should change the ordinance that you guys currently, okay.
Name and address.
Name and address.
Oh, yeah, I thought you stated one. Yeah, name and address for the record.
Name and address is Andre and Julie Fichet, Gulfport, Mississippi, 18243 Tulip Cove, Gulfport 39503. Just gotta make sure, gotta verify that.
I know who takes care of the books.
Right, exactly. So we're here trying to change an ordinance that needs to be amended in the care that we'd like to give to our citizens here in our county. I'm gonna have my wife to finish up. She's more articulate than I am about what to do and how to do it. So, Julie.
I work at a local hospital. I've been there for the last 20 years. And over the last 20 years, I have seen a delay in transporting our discharged patients to either their nursing homes or their home or wherever facility they're going to. I have seen that time span grow exponentially since COVID started. Like everyone else, getting people to work is an issue. And, with all the restrictions that COVID gave to us, not to mention just the restrictions with personnel related to the amount of increase we've had in the population in our county. What he handed out is a little bit about us as a company. We started out transporting wheelchairs. We would like to transport stretchers. We've been notified that according to an ordinance that was placed in 1994, that is not permissible unless you're affiliated with EMS. We are not emergency transport. We do not ever intend to transport emergencies. We simply want to give incapacitated people a way to get home without having to wait 12 to 18 hours.
So you take them like from the hospital back home or the hospital to the
To their
nursing
nursing.
home?
Yes,
Correct.
yes.
The maximum amount of any kind of health care we would provide would be the same amount of O2 that they wear at their house. And that's going to be not carrying O2 tanks, but provided with an O2 concentrator that will be on the ground. We have gotten with the State Board of Health with their Bureau of EMS and are in the process of meeting all of their requirements to provide envelope transport. But according to the ordinance for Harrison County, all of our calls have to go directly through an EMS distribution center, which we should not be included in. We have a contract with Memorial Hospital right now, St. Joseph's and Cannon Hospital to transport their patients. They just call us, we're private pay. And because we're private pay and don't have the amount of overhead that a current ambulance company has, we don't have to charge that price. So we're not charging insurance companies either. So not only are we more efficient, we're also more affordable. We're more affordable for the hospitals because when you're waiting 12 to 18 hours, then you look at it staying overnight, and then that's a cost of an avoidable day that the hospital has to eat.
So Julie, I'm sorry, forgive me, this is
No.
new to me. But, so the ordinance says you have a contract with the hospital, but the hospital still has to call the EMS or they can call you direct?
Based on that,
Uh-huh.
we would be considered an ambulance, which we are not.
I'd like to ask our attorney maybe
I
to.
think correct me if I'm wrong, the question is, the ordinance restricts people that are on stretchers.
Correct.
Yes.
Anyone
So
in
you
our
can
family.
transport patients unless they're on a stretcher.
Correct.
So what they're doing in the hospital is transporting non-stretcher
We're
people.
currently transporting wheelchair
Wheelchairs.
patients.
But we're trying to,
expand
We
that.
would like to do stretcher patients just because the need is so large.
I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the company. Are you the company we wrote a letter to?
Absolutely, yes.
I'm just trying to make sure it's the same.
yes, sir, Medilift of Mississippi.
So, of course, AMR has objected and written their own letter to cease and desist.
Yes.
So I'm not sure how the board's gonna suddenly change it without figuring out what the objections are.
See, we have a contract with AMR
I
right now.
understand.
We're
And we
basically,
don't want to interfere with their contract
No.
at all.
we're basically a
Glorified taxi service.
yeah, pretty much, and that's all, because
If I may-
yes, sir.
If
We're,
I
we're,
may ask you a question, if a person is on a stretcher and you're transporting that person, wouldn't it imply that that person possibly would need EMS, emergency, services?
Not always.
Not always.
I think
Well,
that's,
I would think that there's a potential for it.
Which is also why the state requires there to be someone BLS certified on the vehicle at all times.
What kind of
A
service,
basic life support.
basically?
So I think that's the issue is the ordinance restricts transportation to certain manners if they're on a stretcher, which presupposes that if they're on a stretcher, they
They
require
require
a higher
some.
level of service. I don't know that to be the case when these, I don't even know if y'all were the same people that called one day.
We are.
I couldn't give legal advice, so, you know, they were saying all they're doing is somebody that can't sit up when they transport them. They're on a stretcher but don't need the level of care of an ambulance. And so that was the issue, and I couldn't tell them whether it was or was not within the ordinance, but AMR takes the position that it is. And the county, based on AMR's complaint to the board, took the position that it is. So either the ordinance has to be amended, but I wouldn't recommend doing that immediately. You're gonna have to find out from AMR what exactly their objections are. As I recall, AMR was saying it's prohibited, not just by the ordinance.
We have, received our state, licenses.
Not yet. We are in the
Well,
process
In the
of
process
receiving
of
that.
doing those.
So they're in, once you get your licensing, then I think that issue would be before the board to make that determination and try to, in the meantime, gather information from AMR. I've got the letter they wrote, and you probably got a copy too, because they sent it to you. We'll just have to go through it and see what the objections are and why they object. Obviously, you shouldn't have to wait, in my view, 18 hours to get home.
Yeah, that's what.
And they are kind of short-handed, everybody
Yes.
tends to. But there was something that you said about that all your requests had to go through them, is that correct?
They're requiring that, all calls for our services go through a centralized call center, and then they disperse the calls. I don't wanna interfere with what EMS is doing, I don't. As far as what our population would require, that requires to be on a stretcher, sometimes they have wounds that they can't sit up. Sometimes they have dementia and they can't follow instructions to sit up safely. And that's primarily the biggest reason that we would carry anyone on a stretcher. Other than that, they can sit in a chair.
But we're not trying to, take care of anyone as for medication or anything like that. We're just taking you home. Just getting you
Kind of
from,
like a Uber kind of thing.
yeah, a glorified
Uber.
taxi cab, Medilift to Mississippi.
Part of
So,
the state's requirement is that we have an EMS driver's license, which we have both taken the class and filing for those licenses today. We have to have an AED on the vehicle, which I have purchased. We have to have BLS certification, which we both are.
So those are,
In addition to all the other supplies they want you to have on the vehicle.
sure.
And you're a nurse.
I am.
So, I mean, my suggestion would be, y'all get those things finalized and come back to the board. In the meantime, the board can give AMR an opportunity to say why it objects to this.
That's what I'd like to do, because
Yes.
there's a need,
Yes.
and if we can work something out with AMR, in the meantime, y'all get your license,
Yes.
that's my 2 cents.
I mean, right now, you know, I don't think this will happen, but you have your license denied, and you've done all that for nothing.
Right.
Get your license, get it, ducks in a row, make the request in writing to the board, and exactly what you are requesting to be changed.
And our
And then we'll
primary,
let AMR
Yeah, 'cause it's-
respond to that, and if they, whatever their response is, doesn't mean we're gonna take it, the board's gonna take it at face value and make a decision. Whether or not there's a need there to amend the ordinance.
See, I got copies of the ordinance, but I'm not sure what part
Yeah.
needs to be changed.
It's been a couple
Can
of
you
weeks since
look
I
at
read,
it?
yeah, so we went through this a couple of weeks ago.
I can't, I remember that we talked about this before when the.
There's a letter that explains the,
What happens usually with AMR or ambulance, it used to happen a long time ago, is that you have a transport crew, but if that crew is called on an emergency, then your transport is kicked to the back.
Right. And that's what we're.
That's
So in
why-
reference to transporting, you recall, AMR came up with a less than ambulance, situation in which they will transport, so the 18 hours, I don't understand why that's still a problem if it is. Because we made accommodations to AMR to allow them to,
my
move.
understanding, and again, I'm not an expert, just read the letters that were sent back and forth to AMR, is that if it is on a stretcher, that requires an ambulance. So you gotta, it's not just transport, so if somebody's, has to be on a stretcher, they're sending a full ambulance, which has to go out on emergencies first,
But I thought we made accommodations that it wouldn't have to be a full ambulance.
I don't think
And that's where we are.
that's kind of where the fight is
For
right now.
AMR.
There he is.
We're not an ambulance
But
at all.
AMR doesn't
We
have
did.
the amount of staff they need to operate that.
Right. We
Now,
just,
she's out, maybe we could contact them. Tim, if you could.
Yeah, 'cause
Let's see what they're-
December, they're probably gonna have their license like the first of the year.
Like I said, our whole purpose in presenting this today is, we know y'all are going out, I hope you have a wonderful holiday, but I also wanted you to have something that you could actually put your hands on before we got this ball truly rolling.
exactly. And we appreciate y'all listening to us.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for the opportunity. We're just wanting to supply a need. We're lifelong Harrison County, born and raised right here. Well, I was in Gulfport, and my wife been here all our young lives. And we just want to provide a service that's needed, and that is, we can do it. We can do the job as long as we have everything in line in order to do it. I think that, well, I know that we have been working, doing this for the last 6 months, and we have been doing real well at it. And we're good at it. Not patting my own back or anything, to my own horn, but
He does most of it.
she's the backbone of this, and we appreciate it. And
Could you also get some letters of support from the hospitals that you're servicing?
Absolutely,
That would help.
So we know they're in favor of it, the board knows they're in favor of it.
absolutely. They also have offered me some statistical information about the cost effectiveness of it, both for the hospital and for the county itself.
That would help.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
so when's the next meeting?
We won't meet again till the first Monday.
First Monday in January.
Okay.
Two-third,
Oh.
I believe.
It's
First and
Tuesday.
second Monday of
Okay.
every month.
Yeah, but I think January's gonna be Tuesday.
I wouldn't suggest the first meeting, do the second meeting otherwise, because first meeting may be
We're
loaded
gonna have
up.
to have some time
Yeah,
to talk to
sure.
different
Plan on
people, so we're not
maybe
gonna be ready
tonight.
by the first meeting or second meeting in January.
Oh, I agree, I agree.
So we'll expect a phone call, or should we?
No, you should contact one of the supervisor or myself, either
Just call
one.
me.
We'll
Okay. All right, very good.
Thank
try
you
to
very
answer your
much.
questions.
Good thing. Thank you, appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Ms. Dondry. These are business owners.
Next up, before we get to the report to the board real quick, we got a couple of agendas I want to go ahead and handle. First thing we have is, we have order taken off the table and approving total payment of $12,000 payable from 001-457-751 to Oceans Behavioral Hospital of Biloxi for the following.
Motion take off table?
Second, why was it tabled?
Did have an order, they now have the order.
All
I
in
would like to
favor of the
report
motion,
on
say
that
aye.
since it's mine.
I'm
We tabled that. the last
Table,
board
right.
meeting.
I'd like an order.
You wanna take it up now, Mr. President,
You
or
can.
you wanna? 2 months ago, Mr. Holloman and I had concerns about how this was going about renewing the 7 days to stay with the indigents in the private facilities. And, we were able to put together an order. Tim's been a little busy, I guess, but we put together an order and asked his approval. We now have an order in place. So an order will be issued when they get a renewal for further treatment. It'll be in the file. So this was, approved by the judge through a letter from Oceans. And of course, we don't attach the letter because it has a lot of patient information. But it was done properly, except we didn't have an order to extend it. We now have an order that will be in the file, extending the stay.
But
And I
now,
appreciate you approving it.
do we still have to,
Just for clarification, the issue came up at the last board meeting in reference to paying them a bill. And there were two questions asked. One was our CSU filled at the time that patient?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
They get about
that-
40%.
Okay, that's the first question, and then Tim had the issue of whether they, for the extended period of time, whether the court had ordered that as, required with the agreement, contract agreement.
And we wanted to know.
And it has been, is what you're saying, it was?
Yes, when I send out this report about commitments that y'all get every week, we have hearings, we talk about placement, and also there's a bed registry, excuse me, a bed waiting list that the state has, that has priority over what we have. So it gives you an idea, the state can't take them, CSU's not taking them. So it's an indigent patient, and y'all treat them. They don't go back to the emergency room or wherever they're being held. So,
But we also wanted to know how many people were being turned away and for what reason at the CSU?
The only thing that I asked was there beds
Can I answer her
available at
first?
CSU?
Can I
That's all
answer her
want to
first?
know. Go ahead.
all right. We have begged and pleaded with Pineville to give us something in writing when they are denying someone. They will not do it. They tell us over the phone, we're not taking it.
Can we get an order to?
I don't know how you can
that?
do it except
I
that
think
you,
it's important to
All right.
know.
for a long time, I've been talking about y'all renegotiating with them for their services. Because they did not address involuntary commitments, and that's your biggest issue right now. Bring them in and readdress this, so they can identify their services and why they're having to, turn away these people or these patients.
Maybe we need to negotiate actual services, pay for services
Absolutely, I've
rather
been
than
saying that
just
for a
some
while.
open,
But anyway.
submitting money to them.
Has Pam, who sits on that board for us now? Isn't it?
That's on,
It's
the
Leonard
sheriff, we're
Papania.
only doing the,
Leonard Papania.
we're just doing Region
Uh,
13. Leonard
Papania,
Papania
Leonard
sits on the
Papania is
council.
sitting on the board now.
Okay, Marlon, I'm sorry, you had a
We should
question.
get him to bring that up.
No, I was just saying, that was what I wanted to know, if we were paying for patients that, they were servicing and we had beds open at CSU.
Absolutely, you had beds open, but they had a reason to not treat them.
You got, just so everybody knows, the obligation here to pay has to come from the court. And that's what the board's paying. So when the court makes a determination that there's no spot at CSU, it's now, for whatever reason.
I'm not questioning our obligation to pay. I know we need to pay it, and I'm
Okay.
sure the patient was signed there because we had to. I was just, from
Sure.
my purposes, is to know if we had CSU beds open and we're sending them to a private hospital, we're paying for CSU beds and paying for the
And
private
private.
hospital at the
Right.
same time
I see
does
what
not
you're saying.
make sense, and we need to get this clear with Pineville.
All you gotta do is bring them in. Renegotiate. Anyway, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Okay.
So the motion was to take off the table
And then pay.
And approve.
and
And
approve.
approve.
So all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to approve payment.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I'd like to make a motion that we
We
ask.
got a motion on the
Oh,
table.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
This is for paying.
Okay.
All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Supervisor Rocco?
I'd like to make a motion that we, bring Pineville in
Oh, really?
and ask them to give us a, report and to address the reasons as to why, and ask for that data that we need in order.
Can I add to that? I'm sorry. They have given us these rosy reports. Only address involuntary commitments in the services for the court and your obligation to the court. Because they'll give you this great picture of what they've been doing, which they probably doing a great thing, not for involuntary commitments. So if you address that, I think that's what you have to address. Am I correct, Tim?
Yeah.
Can we
Just
specifically
eliminate all this
ask-
other stuff.
Can we specifically ask why this person was turned down at CSU?
Well, because of HIPAA,
HIPAA, you got some problems there.
because of HIPAA,
But they can
Well,
tell
let me
us
tell you
that,
what-
give us a name.
I think they could do it generally without disclosing any medical treatment.
We had 10 patients in January that, that one was combative, one was this, one was that. I mean, it would be easy to break down. You don't have to give us a name.
well,
Right.
I'm just saying that it's not a good system. the way they were turning the people down.
But I'll second the motion to be a little more specific in why they were not accepting the agency.
Well, you know, I don't know if y'all need to know that, but what you need to do is set your priorities. Because you're paying 2.1 million for services and additionals, you're paying for people that are patients they're not taking. And they're making a call, and I'm telling you, it's a person that is not a doctor making this call. It's a, I wish there was somebody here that could help me with this, but in other words, it's not necessarily a social worker, but the person over the phone, they describe what the deal is, and they're refused. Without really a professional reviewing it and then making a call.
And if they're shorthanded,
But sometimes they're refused because they're violent
yeah, I
or it's
understand that.
drug related.
I
And she
understand
told
that.
us that. I just want to be.
But we need to know specifics on that per month,
And
because
if they're violent, why don't they have security? Why don't?
They have it now, but they just had never told you. They didn't tell me, I found out.
What, because I assume a good portion of those, I shouldn't say, I don't have any idea, but some of those folks definitely are gonna be violent.
combative, if they're on
Combative, not necessarily, but combative, so then it seems to me like they could have security.
I think at the last meeting they came to, they did report to the board that they had filled that position.
They had
Or
They were
filled,
Yeah.
having a hard
We
time.
don't
They
know
had
who
just
it is.
filled it.
But if they don't have the staff, why don't they have the staff? Because we're paying for it.
They have $12 million in a CD. They're investing money, your money.
Call the question.
Are we clear on
what was the motion?
What
Ask them
the
to
motion?
explain why they won't take them.
You made the motion, okay. Get a second? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Next addendum is, order approving travel for Julia Enclave Veterans Affairs to attend the NAC VSO Leadership Summit on February 5th through the 9th, 2023 in Washington DC.
motion?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order approving travel for Judge Dickerson, youth court judge, Riley Underwood, court administrator, Tiffany Gale, senior abuse and neglect intake officer, to observe Pure Learning Court Model Site for Intervention Courts in Jefferson County, Colorado on March 8th through the 10th, 2023. Motion,
Motion.
second, discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. The last one is order approving the payment of registration, hotel and meal fees for Christine Bryce, Becky Payne, Tony Diaz, Carolyn Hanley, and Barbara Kimbrough, election commissioners, in total amount of $2,500 for the 2023 ECAM annual certification training convention.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carried. Have a few more for the sheriff. Order approving the purchase and installation of pipe gate for driving pad entries at the Harrison County Law Enforcement Training Academy in the amount of $3,500 for Charles Welding Service, held from 001-200-902.
Motion.
Motion second, that's out of the grant,
It says 001200902.
is that the grant?
No, what is it? I don't have it.
001200902.
200?
No, that's out of his admin budget.
Yeah, all in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed,
You
motion
have to
carried.
make a transfer, line item transfer? It must.
It's not asking, it must have money in the budget, they're not asking for a
It's in-
Well, I thought the pipe gate would come on that administration, that's the only reason for that.
Order approving, okay, order approving purchase for Harrison County Law Enforcement Training Academy from Gulf Coast Business Supply, Inc. in the amount of $87,888.16 payable from 029-215-920 from state contracts 82-000-62921. Motion.
Motion.
Second discussion. Now, is this part of the grant, Pam, or do you know? Jennifer?
Yes.
029 is
O29.
is the Department of Justice Equitable Sharing Grant Program. They
That
have
part?
money in that.
That's
It's a grant.
That's a grant.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order authorizing Hampton County Sheriff's Office to apply for the fiscal year 24 Mississippi Office of Highway Safety Occupant Protection Grant and authorize the board president.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries now. Thank you, Mr. Frank. Recognize Mr. Frank Ford to discuss candidate insurance upcoming renewals.
Thank you. In front of y'all have a one-page summary. Y'all have quite a bit of information, but mostly I'm gonna go out over this. I've tried to condense everything down to a couple pages. Renewal is, coming back as bad as we anticipated. This weekend, we did get the All Lines Aggregate program. There's several issues with it. I went back and forth with the underwriter yesterday. I got confirmation while I was sitting here. The pricing is going to remain the same. Some of the issues that they had from a coverage standpoint, we're going to be able to go back and forth on that. So the top yellow one that's pending, both of those are remaining relatively the same. The ALA is renewing at $361,775, and then the loss control fee remains the same as well as it did last year. The big outstanding pending item is the wind deductible buyback from 3% to 100,000. There's a few things that's going on with y'all's property program. We knew rates were out of sight. My fear last time was being able to fill the capacity that we had last year. We have filled the capacity that we had last year. And so now that we've done that, we're going back and trying to get different options. Our PML reports that we have ran here are based on our values. And so what I've done is I've taken the RMS program, the AIRS program, those are the two recognized that's on this page right here. And then we've done a blended version, but that's based on our limits. Our limits to the carriers are very, very low. When they look at, they plug in what they believe we should be insuring at, and they run their own PML report. So their PML reports run much higher than ours.
Now, I remember asking you, are we insuring these trailers?
We've taken a lot of stuff off. There's maybe one trailer left on.
And then we removed those buildings that we discussed last board meeting, I guess here. We removed the shelter, the youth shelter and the,
Jail. Is it the police station, Jailville?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's empty. I mean, it's
There's
still a
nobody.
building, but it's for sale.
Yes. So we've made modifications and the carriers are pushing really hard on increasing the values. Obviously, if they increase the values, and I'm all about insurance of value, but that also increases our deductibles. And our deductibles are something that FEMA won't pick up. We learned that after Zeta. We don't know what they'll do next storm, but we know what they did last storm. We do know that they do pick up underinsured or uninsured items that they have not reimbursed in the past. And so my thought process, because this year the rates are so tough, is I'm going to continue to push back on the carriers on increasing our values. We've increased them a little bit, but increasing them to the way they want to more than doubles our insured value.
Does it match?
Due to inflation, Frank, is inflation driving some of that, causing the values to go up if you had to replace it? Or not?
It's due to inflation, and I've reminded them that a lot of the stuff, mostly they're picking on our non-wind resistive schedule. A lot of that stuff, if it were damaged, our own employees will be able to fix and repair a lot of that. That's less expensive than us going out to, but also I reminded them, we're seeing construction costs, material costs go down tremendously
Yeah, that's true.
over the past month. And so for them to dictate that there's a 18% increase in construction costs, we don't know what the ultimate increase is going to be. My main goal
They
is,
can dictate to us what their opinion of the value is. So like I have a house, it's $300,000. I may only want $200,000 worth of insurance, and so I thought you could buy that, but you're saying that.
you can get a agreed value policy, but they're going to put co-insurance on you in your personal situation. on our situation, we're paying, these are big numbers that we're talking about, so that gives us a lot more leverage to push back and say,
But that's why I just used it
Yes.
personal.
yes,
But so then why are we, or just tell them what we think they're worth, get with the tax assessor.
well, we're doing that, and I'll show you like price per square foot. I mean, we have some buildings that are valued at $40 a foot, and we know that's probably a little low. Our jail is very low. So we've increased some of those, but we've met them in the middle. We haven't allowed them to go so far up. But their probable maximum loss that they're coming up with is on a 500-year storm is much higher than what we're coming up with because we're basing on our values. So our probable maximum loss on our lesser constructed buildings on a 500-year storm is 8.5 million. We're currently carrying $30 million worth of coverage. I asked for an option just to show y'all kind of if we drop the $30 million limit to $20 million limit, that's still double what we believe the probable maximum loss is. That'll be a savings of $121,000. This year may be a year that you want to do that. We're not at Katrina rates, but we're pretty close to Katrina rates.
Yeah.
We're looking at right now, if we add in the all lines aggregate, we're about 2.9 million, where last year we paid 2.1 million in total premium for everything. That's keeping the deductibles where they are, and I think that for the price of the deductibles, I would keep them where they are. If y'all will allow me, I'd like to continue to go and push on the excess layers, because those excess layers are costing a lot more money than what they've cost in the past. And keep us above the probable maximum loss. On our better constructed schedule, we're at $50 million limit. In our probable maximum loss on a 500-year storm is 15.4 million. And so if we bought 25 million, see what that looks like to get us as close as we can get to last year's numbers. We're gonna be buying less coverage, but everybody right now is buying less coverage in the private sector and the public sector. I mean, you can only afford what you can afford.
Yeah.
With everybody doing that and a lot of folks self-insuring, I think there's gonna be a lot of excess capacity come third quarter next year, and you're gonna see prices start settling down. If they're not selling their capacity that they're buying reinsurance on, they're gonna start unloading that capacity is what I would think. So, I know that y'all aren't meeting between now and renewal. I don't know if y'all wanna do a special call meeting, or if you want to give Ms. Ulrich and I the authority to continue to work based on we're not gonna go beyond the 2.9. And then I'll report to y'all individually or in a workshop between now and then at the January 2nd, third meeting.
It would be a little tough meet before
Yeah, I
first
think
of the
just
year.
give them the
I think just let you work, do that.
Not to exceed 2.9, and
Yeah.
hopefully
And
not
I'll-
to exceed 1.9.
Yeah.
And I will be,
Not to exceed.
I'll present to y'all on the 3rd of January
Yeah.
of what the final
Okay,
was.
so I'll make that motion.
When do you have to have that, sir?
What's-
Frank, I think you might have
The end
mentioned
of the
it.
year.
It's, we have two, if one renews at 12/31, one renews at 1/1. We're gonna work this, and this is the worst case scenario. I mean, we have several different carriers that we're working with that we may replace some of these layers with. Now that we know that we could get the capacity, that was the big deal. And y'all are gonna see, there's lots of folks that aren't able to get the capacity the capacity shrink. My goal is to get that capacity, and now we can start moving carriers around.
And Pam, can you, and I don't want to put this burden on you, baby, but if you wouldn't mind, or Frank, tell us which one of these buildings that we're paying the high dollar for. Because it could be that some of them, if it's
Before,
trailers or whatever
yeah,
it is.
before the reason was because of FEMA from Katrina, we had to put a certain amount on those, but now that it's been over 15 years, we should be able
We should be able to get some.
You're
of
supposed
that.
to carry it in perpetuity, but the deal is so if FEMA reimbursed us at the time of Katrina, the building may have cost $60 a foot or $80 a foot. Well, now it's $140, but our only obligation is to cover what FEMA reimbursed,
Okay.
not what the new value is. And so lowering the loss limit and increasing our values will essentially get everything that we need from an insurance perspective and should cover us from a FEMA perspective, knowing that from administration, we don't know what FEMA's gonna do. But based on what they did in Zeta, we have a pretty good idea.
Can we make sure what we're authorizing Pam and Frank to do? They're authorized to
Negotiate
Negotiate these
negotiate,
lines
commit.
and commit.
not to exceed 2.9.
Okay, so you're authorizing Frank and Pam to jointly negotiate and commit, and does that require paying?
No, we normally,
I don't
we
know.
take care of that.
I
and
think
then-
we have to have
They'll
confidence
send
that
us
he's
a
gonna do
bill.
the best he can, so we're
Just wanna
gonna
make sure.
take his advice anyway.
Every year we bond and then it's, I think, 30 or 45 days prior
And
to.
then they pay.
Okay, I know how my insurance, when you get new insurance, they want the money right then.
I trust the taxpayers in Harrison County.
They have no choice.
Thank you all.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you.
We need to vote.
Hmm?
We need to vote.
To allow
A
Pam
motion
to
and a
negotiate.
second for them to.
Okay, okay. We can get the motion.
To negotiate.
All right.
not
All in
beyond.
favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. I want to recognize Mr. John McAdams, Chancellor Clerk, and Chair of the Tax Committee to discuss the activity with the 7 kiosk machines located within the county year to date.
Thank you, Mr. President, board members. Sharon, if you come up, I'm gonna stay right here. We all know what kind of lines we had COVID with paying taxes, not only current taxes, but delinquent taxes. So the tax collector and I and my staff trying to find another way that we could extend the services of our offices. So the biggest problem with the lines, they would stand in line and get to the counter in the tax collector's office, and realize they had delinquent taxes. They cannot collect any current taxes until the delinquent taxes are paid for in the chancery clerk's office. So that person would have to leave, walk down the hallway. Long story short, we wanted to seek out a better way to communicate between the department and the taxpayer. And Chief Deputy Angela Thrash and I were attending a conference in November of 2020 after all this COVID and the problems we were having with staff. And we had the pleasure of meeting Taylor Gibson, part owner or partner in ION, which is a great addition to services for the county. So Sharon and I, the tax collector and I visited about extending the service to other locations within the county. So we were limited to placing them. We didn't want to put them in a convenience store, obviously, but we wanted to place them where there was a connection to a county building or a city building. So we chose these other additional locations. And you'd be surprised, and I'm very surprised, when I asked Taylor to give us a report, and these are the machines speaking, not him. So they're telling the story about what service we have now extended to the citizens for tax purposes and information. So what this is real time. In other words, someone owes delinquent taxes, tax collector's office is going to pay by credit card and ask them to walk outside, do the transaction on the kiosk machine, come back in and pay current taxes. A lot of times with delinquent taxes is they didn't know because they are a new owner. The tax bill went to the previous owner because of logistics, obviously, and the land roll being processed and approved by the board. So not only did this service allow that, but we did not, the Chancery Clerk's office did not have an online software. People could come into our website and pay delinquent taxes. And now that's in place along with the kiosk machines. Go ahead, Sharon.
Sharon, just before you start, tell us where some of the machines you said are located.
Yeah, we're gonna have this full report. It's
Oh, okay.
for you. Taylor's gonna give it to you. And,
Good deal.
So we put them in the county buildings and in the city buildings, and the taxpayers can either research through those kiosks or actually do a transaction through the kiosk. But even if they just want to research through it, that keeps them from having to call John's office, call the tax collector's office, or go online and use the system. Like, for example, my parents don't want to use online, they're scared of it. So the kiosk, they can go up to it, swipe their card, use it, and either one of us will download, process, and mail out their transaction the very next day.
Critical.
So I think it's awesome.
Relatively simple to use, with
Right.
clear instructions.
Yeah. They can use any of the 7 kiosk locations, process it, and we mail them out to them, like I said, the next day. The attorneys that visit our courthouses, instead of walking in our office and asking us or the tax assessor or John McAdams, they can walk at that kiosk and use this, and I see them using it. They'll research, get what they need off of it, and go on out of the building. So it keeps us from having more foot traffic, and it makes our phone lines go down. So we still have the same amount of transactions we have in our office, if not more. I ran them, there's still more, but we wonder where the line is. But that's because we're giving them so many opportunities to use the internet or the kiosk without having to come to the office and asking.
Do they pay a fee to use it, or?
The same credit card fee as if they were to walk in the office and use the card, same fee. Yep. So we appreciate John McAdams letting us piggyback with him.
Well, because we were facing, we didn't want to face the same issues in unused tax year. We placed these July 1st. And I was able to purchase them through the fee account. And which obviously, this was the only developed software. And Taylor is homegrown, Madison County, Mississippi College graduate, total Mississippi. So we appreciate him.
Yes,
But again, he'll show you his presentation. You'll be surprised at what these machines are doing for the public. Go ahead.
I'm gonna get out of the
If
way.
I may,
so
I
you
wanna, I got something to say.
Yeah.
I think those lines have disappeared is because you worked your butt off, and I
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
So you can blame the kiosk if you want to, but I'm telling you what I've seen with my own 2 eyes.
Thank you,
And I've seen
Beverly.
you walk down those
You come to
lines
the courthouse?
and tell people, I do. I've seen you walk down there and tell those people in line what to have to get in there.
Right.
I wait on card tag people only. Now, I'm just saying, I'm sure the kiosk is a nice thing.
What about me? I do this.
But
I work
I
hard.
have seen what you do.
Thank you, I
I
appreciate
see what
that.
you do.
Thank you.
Beverly's right, I've
I've
seen y'all
seen her.
go down those lines, asking people what they were there for, do they have the right
Absolutely.
information, et cetera, and I think you eliminate a lot of the problems by doing
Thank
that.
you,
No,
I
I
appreciate
think
that.
so.
We
So
do
go
all
ahead
work
and
hard, it ain't
brag on
just
the
me, it's
kiosk,
all
but-
of us.
I think I know what's happening.
Thank you.
Good morning,
I'm just saying.
ladies, gentlemen. I am Taylor, I am Business Concepts. I appreciate y'all's time this morning. John did ask me to brief y'all on the report here of the activity, the user stats for each kiosk. So we'll move here. These are all the locations you were asking. There are 7 kiosks, 2 in the Gulfport courthouse, 1 here. Matter of fact, I was testing this one Thursday. The gentleman came and was running into Sharon's office and he looked in there, he looked around and, hey, can I use that over there? I said, yeah, come on, you can use it. Sure enough, he did, and his fee was about $10, but he said it was worth it as opposed to waiting. And I don't think there's really that much of a line, and they do move
Trust me, I used to get all the complaints. They'd come right from over there.
really fast. So you can see all 7 here, there. So starting with the stats here, I'm giving y'all
Mr.
3.
Gibson, let me ask you one
Yes, sir.
question before you proceed.
Yes, sir.
You got the cities and of course the 2 the county. Why wouldn't you include the city of Pass Christian and cover them all?
That's next.
That's what,
Because the library has not been active. We want to move it after this report. We're going to move it. We've already talked to the mayor and Pastor Jim.
okay.
We're going to move it to City Hall or wherever they pay water bills, just like.
I'm
we
just
did
curious why you would let that wasn't on there.
Yeah, we're going to do that.
And now we have history. Since we started in July, we're coming up on our 2nd tax season. We've gone through
2 tax delinquent seasons through August. So it gives us some history, to make those determinations here. I've given you 3 stats for each location, there. The views are page views, for user events or when they search or click a button, on the device, and then, their engagement time on average for each location there. Can everyone see?
Well, explain what a view and an event is.
It's a page, each page is a view, so when you view a page.
Events when they do something.
Correct, going from home and then event, right,
Just when you
So-
actually take.
that's right,
Calculate thing.
correct. Oh, I've been,
Is the engagement time minutes?
no, those
I was gonna say,
seconds.
that's a long time.
No, seconds.
I just fixing to-
49 minutes.
Somebody has some time.
That's over a
Just
half
curious,
hour.
But you can see, they can move, you were talking about user friendly, they can move through it real quickly.
And it is user.
Correct, and on, sharing on real property, personal, they just enter their last name and pull it. On tags, you have to have 2-factor authentication, because you don't want anybody just going and searching for someone's tag. So they have to know the tag number and the name that it's registered in.
I get those requested. So there's no way to do that on the kiosk?
Pardon?
There's no way to do that on the kiosk? I've gotten those requests.
What's that?
Look up tag numbers.
Yes, you can look it up, you just need to know the owner's last name and the tag number.
Oh, no, that's why I don't
No,
wanna
she-
look it up. So they
Beverly,
can do that wrong.
Beverly, it can't be a view, it's a 2-factor.
It's a
Just can't
stalking
go in there.
privacy act law.
Yeah, so nobody can just go search.
Cause they'll see somebody driving by doing,
Right.
That's right, it's a privacy act law, and you have to keep
You
that
have to
two-way
be the
factor.
owner.
You can do that, you just have to do it, there's a form. you
there
have to
is a
file
way to
with
do
the
it. I just
state.
wondered if you could do it at the kiosk. But the
Correct.
answer's no.
And that's what you're seeing here,
Yeah.
there, the views and the events. So Orange Grove, and this is what John was talking about, the library, he wants to move that to Pass Christian. They only spend about 2 seconds, and that might be because they don't have their information.
Which Harrison County Library?
Orange Grove.
Orange Grove. And
You
you
know
want to
where
move it
that
from
is?
there to Pass Christian? Is that what you're
So you're
saying?
moving it?
We'll move that machine to
From Orange
Pastor.
Grove to Pass Christian Library?
City Hall.
City Hall,
City Hall?
wherever they pay their bills,
Yes, sir.
tax bills, or
Somewhere.
water bills.
City Hall.
And that's where the city, you can see their activity's a little higher because they're at City Hall, they're going in to pay their water bill already, they see it there. They say, hey, I can search my tag or my taxes and see if I overpay there. So moving along, so these are John, delinquent taxes here. These are all online transactions here. You see the view, so it's another tool for customer to go online and just research and then pay if they want to. So you can see the activity there, 517 where they actually paid for this amount here with a total of 15 kiosk transactions. So not only are they using it to pay, but they are using it as a tool for information there. So moving along, and this is Sharon here, you can see these are all tag, tag renewals there. And you can see the activity there, 141,000 page views, 450,000, almost 450,000 events there. That's how many transactions were processed.
I would assume over a period of time, based on that information, you can see
Correct.
if the percentages increase,
Correct.
the two amounts. Percentages
See, I
increase.
come back, y'all would like to do this next year in another report, and we can have more data to give you some numbers like that, how much it increased. But it just gradually increases. That's why she's saying her phone calls are down. Our office, we take phone calls and assist y'all's customers when they're online paying. So, and the online fees the same for real property. I want to say it's 2.5
2.5, yeah.
And over the counter and on the kiosk, it's the same 2.25% volume. But the customer pays that and y'all just collect the tax amount. John collects his tax amount there, so. Any questions, comments?
I'd just say that, I don't know if this could ever expand to a code office for building permits or whatever, but it can.
Justice court. Justice court, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, this can expand.
Yeah, we can add as many modules as y'all, and you're giving customers another option. You know, they
If
get
they
come
got to
in.
choose to pay by credit card, you're giving them another option. If they don't want to pay by credit card, obviously, it's in person.
And that's what I mean
Or
by,
over through mail.
I want to say his name was Pedro. Mr. Pedro the other day. He had his checkbook and everything, but he saw the line. He didn't want to wait in it. He came over the kiosk and he paid there and paid the $10 fee. I would have waited in the line and paid with the
And that
check.
line's
So
A line in this office, because it's so small, can be 6 people.
Yeah,
you
but
know,
they
but it's
ran it
being
now.
remodeled right now.
yeah, so and it took us about a minute for him to complete that. So, and that's my point, on real property, you're asking about searching. You can just on real, because it's public record anyway,
You can search
just
it.
pull by name and it pulls, and then you can search through there online or in the office, so, there.
Let me just add something on the online delinquent taxes. We have closing attorneys now can go online because it's real time. And with the interest and penalties, they get an accurate amount that's due for closing. They don't have to be calling the office to get an accurate account of what, in their closing, to have the proper amount. Anyway, it's been a great service.
Y'all are on the cutting edge of it, because counties are just now coming on board with offering this service. I think, like he said, COVID heightened a lot of that. But talk about usage online, and what he's saying, attorneys just going and using it as a research tool, because you see how many events there, but only this many transactions where they actually paid for it. So it's just as much an informational tool. I would like them to pay every time, of course, but that is a research tool. It's being utilized in both ways. So they're able to use the online software and the kiosk.
I'm sorry to interrupt. These kiosk machines are part of county inventory. They were about 12,000 each. What were they, 6,000?
Correct.
My memory's bad.
Correct.
It's about 6,000 each, and that included the software and everything. So.
What's the maintenance fee on it?
Ma'am?
Is there an annual maintenance on
No,
it?
ma'am.
He is the maintenance.
He is the
And he comes.
2.25%.
That is the nice.
I think a smart businessman would charge maintenance, but I haven't figured that out yet. So, thank y'all for the opportunity to speak and report. Would y'all like me to come back next year about this time and report again? I'd be glad to do that.
One thing you didn't mention is that eventually that will be pushing out decals, actually. As versus them getting it in the mail, they'll get it in real time in their hand.
That's cool.
And you're gonna see
That's
usage really increase then, when they can just go to the kiosk and spit out a tag.
Have you thought about, I'll say this, but, we got a driver's license machine apparently at the airport. I'm dying to know how that's going. But anyway, I thought if it could do that, can you tie in driver's license with that thing?
Oh yeah, I'd be glad to spit out a driver's license
Yeah.
too.
Well, you gotta work with Sean Kendall on that one.
I know, but you know, like a
That'd be the
one-stop shop.
state
Yeah.
on that. Yeah.
But Justice Court, any other services that we could just add, that wouldn't be a charge to y'all. And that's my point, the customers bear the cost, y'all don't bear any cost, but you're providing a service.
And a convenience.
That's right,
And a
convenience. There you go.
What is the fee, the service fee?
2.25 on the kiosk, 2.5 on online.
And 2.5 if you walk in.
And we take process American Express. all brand card, debit card, credit card, their cash out cards, things like that, so. I appreciate y'all,
Thank you, sir.
letting me report. Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor.
Thank y'all.
Yes.
All right.
You're welcome.
Next up, item 4, order concurring with the resolution of the Harrison County Development Commission authorizing and approving the execution of a lease agreement by and between Original Environmental Response Trust as landlord, the Harrison County Development Commission acting on behalf of Harrison County, Mississippi as tenant, and Chicago, Rock Island, and Pacific Railroad, and Gulf and Ship Island Railroad LLC as operator. Motion?
I make a motion to get.
Second,
I get a
discussion.
second for discussion. So y'all are leasing this, and then you're gonna turn around and sublease it to somebody else?
Well, we're leasing it to put a rail yard on the site.
You're
So-
leasing it for somebody else?
Well, we're leasing it to develop it, and in order to turn it into a rail yard, the railroad has to have operating rights on the site.
So you're not leasing it for someone else to use?
We're leasing it for ourselves, and our rail operator will be moving rail cars on there as a joint venture that we already have.
Because your resolution says that Rico Trust is, I read it like it was subleasing it. Marlon, would you
So-
agree?
In the lease agreement, we have the ability to sublease to other people.
Okay, so the answer.
So the railroad is a subtenant, and so will the other tenants because we don't own the property.
So you're actually leasing it from
The trust.
the trust to turn around and let somebody else use it, correct?
Correct, because we don't operate a railroad.
You're not gonna let them use it, you're gonna sublet it to
We're
them.
going to sublet.
I don't see a price on that.
I think that would be up for future negotiation, I would assume.
Correct.
You already said it.
Bill, one question, but just for informational purposes, of course, that's a environmental hazard, right? I believe it's an
Yes.
environmental hazard. Have you made sure that when you put the railroad, on there, that the construction of that railroad and the operation of it will not in any way impact the restrictions that are in the lease agreement in reference to like, the well that they use for checking, the slurry ditch, so that, because if, as I understand the lease, if something happens to move that environmental, hazard off that property or something like that, then we, the Development Commission, and ultimately the county would be responsible for that. So are we doing the homework, if I can use that terminology, to make sure that whatever we put, we being you, the railroad on there, that it will not in any way adversely affect that hazardous site?
Most of what you said, the answer is yes. Now let me clarify.
Okay.
So we're working directly with, this contract was written with EPA, DEQ, the trust, and ourselves, and all their attorneys. So anything we do on that site, we have to call the trust. The trust has to approve everything that we do. We also hired an outside environmental consultant to make sure that all those things you just said, we weren't going to impact, and we're going to have no negative consequences on the Development Commission or the county. Now, the thing that got a little away from that question that you asked is, in the event that the railroad comes and spills something on the ground, that's the liability of the railroad. It's not liability of the Development Commission or the
We're
county.
talking about what's already there. It's already.
It's a
Environmentally.
backside, it's
Right,
a
but
ground bed.
in the
And once
lease,
it's kinda
anything
like
that, anything,
asbestos, it's kind of like asbestos, once you disturb it, it could create a problem.
and all those are being checked off by the partnership that already exists. In the lease, in the event that the railroad causes an environmental concern, that liability is on that
Well, that-
tenant or
That
that
would go
railroad.
without saying, I think, but I'm kind of like Mr. Ladner is, when you go to build this, to put this in there and that dirt's disturbed.
The dirt's not gonna be disturbed because everything that we're building is on top of grade. We're not digging, we're not gonna even touch, we'll touch a blade of grass, but we're gonna put ballast and rail and cross ties on top of it. We're not digging into any subsurface. And if we did, the trust is there holding our hand and clarifying it along the way.
So the trust is purposely watching to make sure that you do not disturb any of that hazardous.
And the majority of
product
this
in the
site,
ground.
there's 10 acres of this site that we're not leasing that we can't touch that's, for lack of a better way to say, is radioactive. The rest of the site is on its last legs of being remediated, so it could, in 5 or 10 years may not have the impact that it did. But we have to be cognizant of where those ditches are, where those testing wells are, and we have to work around them. That's why we have to coordinate everything with the trust.
I think this is very dangerous,
I do too.
especially being right across from the aquarium that we have. Just it's very dangerous to start disturbing. That's some bad stuff that went in there.
We're not disturbing anything.
Putting solar panels on there.
But there's always
8 acres of solar
accidental
panels, you're gonna be
issues
disturbing
that can
something.
happen, and you get to disturb something. I mean,
You got to. You can't put 8 acres of solar panels and not disturb something.
8 acres of what?
Solar panels.
That's an option that the trust has, that if we decide to put solar panels in,
But
they
the
can put
trust,
solar panels.
Mr. Ladner, is not working on their behalf. The trust is the DC. They're
I
the
Right.
board.
I understand.
So who's your third person that is working on your behalf?
But I would assume the primary purpose of the trust is to assure that environmental hazard material that's in that ground does not move.
Correct.
That's their,
Or
that's
it-
their purpose of the
Or it
trust.
moves in the channels and the
Where it's
ditches and
supposed
all
to,
the things
where
that they
it's
already
supposed
have
to.
in place.
So the trust's primary function, as I see it, or thing, is to make sure that the environmental hazard is contained.
Correct.
So they
Or
watch
properly handled if it is moved.
And the best thing to do, from what we've learned over the last year negotiating this lease, is when you have a toxic site, the best thing to do is encapsulate it so all that stays in place. So when you put rail on top of it, it's encapsulating. So that helps the trust and it helps the environmental concerns as
So
well.
you're saying that the environmental trust, along with the other agencies like the EPA and all that, will be involved in the actual development of the rail yard?
Anytime, if we go out there and say, okay, now we're gonna start building in 1,000 feet of rail, first person we call is Mark Ferries. Mark has to answer to the DEQs and the EPAs. But that's why the lease is written in a way where, Company X comes in, Company X subleases from us and we're leasing from the trust, but everybody's holding each other's hand to get it done properly with no environmental impact.
there's always an environmental impact if you're working on a brownfield.
It's up to y'all.
I believe so the county's not liable, what you mean is there's an indemnification provision.
Yeah, Jim worked on that for 6 months.
But there's no personal guarantee, there are 2 LLCs that are the operators.
Right.
Do we know anything about their assets or who they are or what?
Well, the railroad, we know, because we've had an operating agreement with them for the last 18
That's
months.
not the landlord, it's
Well, there's 2
Chicago,
LLCs.
Rock Island. The landlord actually in this case is this trust.
It's Ryco.
Correct.
Right, that's who your landlord is, and you're the tenant from them.
So the landlord, I don't know it right now, but they have significant assets that have been placed under trust. That's why there's a trust,
Yeah,
in
that's
order to
just their name.
perpetuate this for a long period of time.
Landlords are different, I'm talking about the 2 operators who get an indemnification of the county.
So the railroad has significant environmental insurance as well as hazard and all the other
Do the
insurance.
LLCs have that or do you
Yeah,
not?
we haven't,
Once the damage is done to the environment, especially to a water system, which is right next to it in that canal, the damage is irreparable. There's no, the environment is just done.
there's already a
It doesn't matter
ditch.
who gets sued.
There's a
There's
ditch.
not enough
There's
money
a
to fix
slurry.
it.
There's a slurry ditch that's already containing all that from the property. That's why there has been no environmental impact to the seaway for the last 30 years. What we're gonna do will not impact that at all. The answer quickly, Tim, is yes. We know their financials, we know their limits of
Can
liability.
you share them with us?
I don't have them in front of me right now, but they
Well, I'd
carry,
like to make, I'll make
carry,
a substitute motion to table this until we see that.
we already have an operating agreement that you previously approved
Well, I'm.
with
motion
the
in a
insurance
second.
that's required by KCS for this railroad to operate. So,
I have a question.
Okay, we had a substitute motion.
To
I
table
second.
until we
Second.
get this information.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No,
So we'll see you next month.
what you vote,
No, oh, no.
it failed then.
Oh, do you vote now?
Motion
I still
table
wanna
failed.
see.
Pardon me?
The motion to table failed.
Just
No.
do it.
Oh, okay.
The
hold on.
vote was 2-2,
Yeah.
Right.
and so the motion
So-
failed.
That's what he said. So,
So it didn't table.
right.
Yeah, not today. Let me ask you, in reference to the sublease, this is to you, Tim, I would assume that in creating that lease and the conditions in that lease, that we'll definitely make sure that the county is protected, with these, subleasers, that they're gonna have to sign some leases with us, with the Development Commission, I presume. And in those leases, we need to be very careful and make sure that we have protection,
Correct, other than just the LLC.
just the LLC.
Right now, she's got the protection.
Well, you're entering into an agreement that presupposes further lease, subleases, is my understanding, so, I guess you'll have another opportunity to decide whether or not these companies are viable. I mean, it's not because the Development Commission, so they'll know that. We had this issue come up with respect to the road just last weekend, last week, and the issue is that the LLC is defunct, got no members, doesn't operate, got no assets. And so when you see LLCs, when I do it personally, I get somebody that brings an LLC, I make the owners personally guarantee whatever the contract is. That way you're not just chasing them. Because if it's just an LLC, they can walk away.
Walk
and do
away,
nothing.
yeah.
So as long
So
as they,
more than the asset, then you would be guaranteed some assets behind it, not the LLC necessarily, but individually.
and these may be big companies that have created these LLCs as sub-layers of the company. But if they're not signing off on it, then only the LLC is liable. But we can figure that out. It has, anytime you're dealing with the environment, you're dealing with potential liability. Everybody gets sued, unfortunately. And you have an identification, but if it's limited to an LLC that has no assets, without any guarantee of who owns it.
In 2016 by this company,
Which one?
or Ryco.
Ryco's leasing it to us, so that's okay.
that's why the trust
Right,
took
but
over.
the environmental
bankrupt.
issue is,
I understand, but
it's
That's
all
the
lemon
landlord.
on
they
us.
already have all the liability, whatever it is now. So
Now,
that's
they're
why
gonna
it's up to
transfer
you.
it to us as a tenant.
Yeah, they may not be a viable defendant if something comes up, but. I'll tell you.
I understand the concerns, but if in fact the trust, if I understand the trust, what the trust is to make sure that those hazards are not disturbed or nothing happens to cause any problems.
They're a LLC with a bunch of different, that's just an. Now,
Now,
The agreement does say that Michael's gonna make sure there's no disturbance gonna be taken on by any
Right,
sub-lessee.
right.
So that is in the agreement also.
That's in
It
the
does-
agreement.
And I assume the trust has actually got funds set aside to manage the trust, probably through the bankruptcy court, but I don't know that for certain.
When we
They
originally, and
also
I-
said when they're original, original RICO, no one knew that they were poisoning the entire area that they were working on either, and they.
Ryco
and
Chemicals
Ryco
versus
Chemical.
Textron, I'm telling
So
you.
Ryco Chemical is not reputable, in my opinion, when it comes to environmental safety.
That's why they changed the name. I'm assuming.
I looked up in our previous agreement, they have a $3 million per occurrence property damage, this is the railroad. General aggregate limit of $6 million, and that's required for them to run on KCS Railroad. Shorty, when he was involved in this transaction,
What's
said
Ryco
you can't afford environmental insurance. So that's why
So
we,
why won't that company go lease directly from Ryco? Why are you in the middle?
because we're gonna mark it up, and we have a relationship with the railroad, and we own the railroad. The railroad operator operates for us.
Well, if you own it, then why are you leasing it?
We own the railroad, we don't own the property that this is gonna go on. We own the railroad that's across the street.
I did, but I thought the question was just about.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All
No.
opposed?
No, I thought we did the substitute
We
motion.
did the substitute and it died
Failed.
because it's
Failed.
tied. Now, this is to approve, concur with the
absolutely,
resolution, and I'm
no.
voting no.
Now it's the reverse.
I'm sorry.
No,
What'd you vote?
What?
here from the true Republican.
So now does it fail since it's tied to the two?
Yeah.
Federal majority.
So does that mean it's dead forever, we can't bring it back?
It's dead right now.
Okay.
Bring it back.
Bring it back.
Yes,
5, order concurring with the resolution of the Harrison County Development Commission authorizing and directing the president, executive director, and other commission officials to execute and submit all documents as are necessary and proper to support the application. Award an obligation of the commission with the Mississippi Development Authority, seeking and providing grant funds made available under the Restore Act for the Harrison County Seaway Lead Rail Repair Construction Project.
Motion.
Second,
Now, this is different than what he's been talking about.
second for discussion.
In case y'all get the two railroads confused.
No, I got it, but how much is the grant for?
Grants for $2 million, the bids came in at $1.6 million.
So you got the bids before you got the grant?
We got the grant in 2018, and we didn't award or do any of the paperwork to accept the bid until we'd gone through doing all the bids, making sure everything would work. Now we're just cleaning up the paperwork to accept the bid and start the work.
Okay, but you're going through the MDA, who's providing $2 million in grants, correct?
It's not MDA, it's the BP Restore Act,
It
it's
says
the
Mississippi
Treasury.
Development Authority.
Well, it's BP Restore Act and the Treasury Department.
Have you looked at this?
Mississippi Development. Says MDA.
Oh, yeah, Trish looked at it.
Trish, have you looked at this? What do you think? I always refer to my attorneys.
They were just asking for authority to make.
Apply for money, that's all.
Well, that's what I'm
He's
saying.
he's asking to get money to help with the railroad that he owns.
Free money,
Huh?
free money.
They ain't no
Well,
free.
grant money is
Free
free.
in this world.
All they're asking in this is authority to submit the paperwork to get the award and the obligation for the grant.
Now,
Which
is
is $2
this the
million.
railroad
And my
that we just
question-
voted down?
No.
But my
I
question
just
was
have-
how much? And he said 2 million.
The award in 2008 was $2 million. Treasury's gonna approve it hopefully this week. We got contractor bids, and then we just need y'all's approval to move forward and accept the money from Restore.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order concurring with the resolution of the Harrison County Development Commission approving and accepting the bid and award of contract to TL Wallace Inc. for the purchase of installation of rail, labor, material in the Bernard Bayou Industrial Park.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Next up is the consent agenda. Items number 7 through 14 have been placed on the consent agenda and appear to be routine, non-controversial matters of which our supervisor would like to agree.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order acknowledging receipt of and approving petitions for decreases to the 2022 real property roll as recommended by the tax assessor.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order acknowledging receipt of and approving petitions for increases to the 2022 real property roll as recommended by the tax assessor.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 17, order approving travel as listed.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order authorizing the board president to execute a letter of intent to pursue section 14 funding through the Corps of Engineers for repairs and improvements to the bank between Dolphin Lane and Industrial Canal of Bernard Bayou as recommended by Jacqueline Turner, Harrison County. Motion.
Motion.
Second discussion, Jackie, are we being subjected to potential cost in this? I know the initial planning, I believe the Corps does that, but then when we get the rubber meets the road, actual,
Right,
what cost are we gonna be subjected
the
to?
attachments I sent, with this item, they made it very clear that after that initial planning, nothing will move unless you authorize it.
And by
So-
then, we'll know what cost
Right,
we will be subjected.
the initial study that they say they need to do basically is a check the box thing that federal organizations require, where they make sure that this is the most cost-effective solution. It's not a big hydraulic study or anything. Once they decide it's the most cost-effective solution, what the scope should be and everything, then they would come back with a project agreement for you to consider.
And this is to stabilize that bank,
To do more than just
Yeah.
FEMA repairs, to actually do, there are some sections out there that have extensive riprap and then some that are not. This would bring more of that, where it will keep it stable.
To protect our road, is
Right.
what we're talking.
And Martin, I was concerned about the same thing. I didn't want to get into that core study that we did a few years ago, remember, and it cost us so much.
Cost us over $500,000 and
Yeah,
then get
so-
anything out of it.
Now, the way that I understand it is that it can go up to 200,000 for their study. They expect, based on this one being so direct, it'll be a lot cheaper. They pay the first 100
If
and
you
then we would
exceed
split.
that, if they exceed that on the study, then we would be,
If they exceed the 100, then we would split between 1 and 2.
we'll tell them, don't exceed it. We got enough studies sitting on.
I agree.
Sitting on shelves.
I agree, and they have, this is the agreement they have to send, but they were making it very clear that this is a very straightforward
I
kind
can't
of study.
see where that would cost.
I can't
more than
either.
100,000.
Me either. I mean, it's obvious to the naked eye.
I wouldn't call it a question.
Yeah, but I'm fine with it.
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Here it comes.
I elevated myself to president. I elevated myself to president for a minute.
And then number 19 is, if you have a question.
19.
19. All right. Order approving accepting the drainage easement and dedication in the Highlands subdivision, phase 4, and authorize the board president to execute and return it to Grand Church Record as recommended by Jacqueline Turner. Motion. Second.
Discussion on it. Is that the Highlands that?
No, it's not the Highlands in Gulfport. This is the Highlands subdivision out in the east part of the county,
Where?
out in District 1, and it's a drainage easement that would have been included in the plat if they realized they needed it, and they kind of backed themselves into a corner while they were developing lots, and they need it now.
I just want to make sure it wasn't in.
No, sir, it's the subdivision one.
The developer backed himself into a corner.
The house builder kind of did, yeah.
Amazing.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 20, order approving second reading and adoption of the Harrison County Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? Read it.
Somebody want to read it? That's all.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving line item transfers in the amount of $2,699.97 from 103-250-922 to 103-250-644 to purchase one 16th step chainsaw at $239.99 and two cut quick at $2,459.98 as per attached quote.
Motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving the purchase of Lenovo ThinkPad laptop, juvenile intervention court from Amazon in the amount of $1,029 payable from 012-177-919.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order approving the local purchase of 2 security camera upgrade replacement in juvenile detention center for Revo in the amount of $7,500 and installation for these cameras by Champion Electric LLC in the amount of $5,715 and approve the transfer of $5,000 from 001-223-641 to 001-223-922 and $8,295 from 001-223-552 to 001-223-922.
Motion.
Second discussion, that installation is almost half of what the cameras are. Is that reasonable?
Comparatively speaking to the other quote, the other was like 13.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Comparatively speaking, the second quote we got was like 14,000 for installation. So, these two companies are the ones that Robert Turner suggested before he left. I've been working with him on these cameras for months. They continually go out. 2 of the systems are on coax cables, I guess is how it is. So
They
not
have to
very,
run those coax cables?
sorry.
Will they have to run them?
This is replacing.
It's replacing the coax. We have 3 camera systems back there, yes, sir. And one of them is the newer camera systems that are going up in the county buildings.
Places they gotta
So
run.
You need conduit, it should be put in conduit. I hate to.
It's in conduit.
There's osmosis here.
I just, when the installation is almost half the cost, it makes you wonder.
Yes, sir.
You can buy them at Best Buy. Put them in from the store.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Next is zoning administrator.
This is a regular case before the planning commission. We would like you to concur with the planning commission's recommendation.
Motion. Second.
All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order concurring with the county administrator on employment as listed and on file with the payroll clerk and personal human resource department.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All
I
in
did
favor?
wanna introduce, because Jeremy Webster's here. I know he's been with the county a long
Where
time,
is
but he is here as our new
Okay.
IT.
Yeah.
person.
Well, I figured everybody knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, David.
All in favor?
I have
Can we get it?
I have a can I ask
Go
you a
ahead,
question?
yes, ma'am.
You may not know, but, there was a, $50,000, I think in your budget, 50,000 for fairgrounds for
The wireless
the
project?
wireless project, and
Yes,
then
ma'am.
another 50,000. They were separated.
That's installation. That's material and installation.
So it's really $100,000.
$100,000
Well, another one costs
It's
more.
really $100,000, but it's double. At least this one's only half.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us a little bit about that? Cause you went out for state bid, but you didn't go out for bids, you just went out.
Well, that was Robert Turner that started facilitating that project. We are waiting for all of the parts currently. Most of the hardware is already in, which is that $50,000 that you mentioned first, and then, of course, the second $50,000 is for the installation. So the project is moving forward. What that's going to do is allow all of the people that go to the fairgrounds to utilize those grounds for events to have wireless access. And I believe that they.
But how was it bid? It wasn't bid,
It's on
was it?
state contract. It's on state contract is what it
Yeah,
is.
unfortunately, I wasn't involved in that part of it. This has been
Maybe
something
for
that has been
future
in the works
reference.
for
For
a long
future.
time.
For future.
Reference, I'd put the two together just like Valerie did, because it's all the same thing, separating the installation from the
It's a total
That's
project.
hardware is kind of silly to me.
And then the board really, it was
It was
in
misleading.
it was a you know, in the line item, we really didn't see it on our, on the budget, during budget hearing. That's not a good time.
But that's just,
This is just, I'm not getting. I'm
No,
not
no,
getting-
absolutely. I
You're-
thank you for the information. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
let's put it
So that we know what we're,
yeah, cause see, I really thought it was only gonna be 50,000.
because if I was gonna give $100,000 to wireless, I would give it to EOC, who is in the EOC department, because that's emergency. But I didn't see.
Yeah. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order spread upon the minutes,
Thank you.
personnel changes of the sheriff's office as listed in the file with clerk.
Motion.
Road name. 26. road name.
Sorry, I'm all wrong.
I think you
Concurrent
said
with the road
sheriff.
manager, I think
Yeah,
it
you
says
said
sheriff.
sheriff.
Yes,
Said
road
sheriff.
manager, right, as just on file with clerk, but.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order spread upon the minutes, personnel changes.
That's,
Sheriff's office is listed on file with the payroll clerk.
Motion.
second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Order spread upon the minutes, the personnel changes of the district attorney's office as listed on file with the payroll clerk and personal and resource department.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order spreading upon the minutes, the list of emergency, local, and state contract orders issued by purchasing department for the month of November.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order authorizing advertising for bid of window replacements at Biloxi Courthouse.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order designating any board, supervisor, purchase clerk, chancery clerk, or any department head as needed as the board's representative to receive sealed bids for construction of safety improvements to federal aid projects. Federal aid project STP 0240050 FPA 167242 70-2000 on January 25, 2023.
Motion.
Second. What project is this?
This is one that I believe has been going on for quite a number of years, where the GRPC had coordinated combined safety projects in each county, where they could do a lot of, like, where there was a curve or something that needed more reflectors, or they needed more paint. And so they combined all these small things in each county into safety projects, and then used the GRPC as the lead for design, and then they transfer to the counties during the construction process.
But we're gonna receive bids for this, so we don't know how much it is. I'm just
I
curious.
don't, they, DRPC and their consultant did it to this point, I'm not sure what that cost is at this point. I think it's 100% funded through the safety program, and then Doug's involved in the construction inspection side.
She's correct, it's a grant.
Yeah, I think it's
You had me
100%.
at the word.
I'm pretty,
Yeah.
pretty sure it's 100%, we can verify that.
I was just curious, thank you.
Well, I guess the question is, where are they're listed, different projects, do we know where they are yet?
I can get one and send it to y'all,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
it's, the way these have worked is there are a lot of clusters, so this might be 15 small spots within the county.
Because
We'll
we're gonna
get
have a new entrance out here, I was thinking maybe, I don't know what you're getting, but.
The site's already
They've already-
decided, there's,
yeah.
I believe, Laney Bridge is one of them, they'll put new signs and some striping
But
in
see,
some
this wasn't a
areas.
site when y'all did all this, but now we're gonna have one. A new site. In case y'all ain't noticed, it's looking good.
It
It
is.
is looking good. Got some white curves so I can see them.
Well, we're gonna
Nice.
stripe it, but I was thinking they had some kind of lights or
I think all curtains should be white.
Okay. Is there further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Order rescinding agenda item number 20 of the December 5th, 2022 agenda. The same being ordered approving the local purchase of 3 sets of hydraulic tools for forcible entry from emergency vehicle specialist payable from 103-250-922.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next up, Sheriff will represent.
First off, we'd like to, say thank you to everybody in the county that reached out, condolences and concerns for Leroy. That was, Leroy Barnes. That was a tragedy. A wonderful employee, great human being.
So nice.
And then,
Come on, talk about it.
yeah, and I think they are the Sheriff's Association's having a fundraiser for him, which, it was, totally unexpected. He works all the time. He's always working overtime. He decided to go fishing this time. This is what happened. But we certainly appreciate everybody. We had a lot of people from board come out and for the funeral, and it was very well done. Right now we got 762 on the inmate count, 33 misdemeanors, 116 females. 49 cleared inmates and 34 federal inmates.
Okay, thanks, Sheriff. Thanks. Next, order approving contract with Caliber AT&T for dispatch CAD upgrades for the 911 system in the amount of $19,810 payable from 001-200-581.
Motion.
Second. Discussion?
Yeah, what is this? I'm sorry. Trying to educate myself.
This is not emergency communications project, but I do know a little bit about it. It's an upgrade to the maps and dispatch for emergency response vehicles to be dispatched to the proper location.
Long time coming.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Order approving local purchase of a multi-launcher less lethal gas gun and accessories from Precision Data Corporation at a cost of $23,862.10 payable from the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, Federal Award 15 PBJA 2121. GG01620, JGX account 030-238-922.
Motion.
Second, is it?
Question,
Tell
what
me
is
what
a gas
gun
gun?
is.
It's the
So where you
launch.
start fire?
It's to launch OC type gas into a hostage situation. And the key word here are less than lethal.
Yeah, what does that mean exactly?
That means that it's the step of, it's the continuum step, which is less than lethal, just like it says. So it helps us, helps us avoid the lethal part of it.
Some of them, aren't they pepper balls or something?
I think there's canisters in
Is
this.
it like a canister that goes
I
into?
wasn't real, that must have been something the sheriff had, SWAT team, and I'm sure that's who it's for the SWAT team.
Or like,
Is there any further
sorry,
discussion?
somebody's making fun
All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving the local purchase in the amount of $15,080 from Secret Coast Security for the expansion of the existing access control system at the Harrison County Law Enforcement Training Academy. Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving the purchase of 12 Hexitex task chairs for the sheriff's office in the amount of $3,599.88 payable from 001-200-919 and authorize the county administrator to transfer funds.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion.
And what's that?
Chairs.
Just chairs?
Chairs.
Okay, it says task chair, so I don't know
So
what a
you can
task
do your
chair
task.
is.
You can do your task.
Task on
Rolling.
Okay, hexy task, that sounded
rolling.
scary to me.
All in favor of
There's
the
a picture
motion,
of it.
say aye. All
Yeah.
opposed?
Yeah.
Motion carries. Order approving the purchase of furniture for the Harrison County Law Enforcement Training Academy from Gary's Furniture Galleries in the amount of $2,315 payable from
200,919.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order approving the sole source purchase Endure ID Incorporated in the amount of $13,329.58 for the purchase of a software system for printing inmate wristbands payable from canteen fund. Motion.
Motion,
Second.
second discussion. Did you see the letter? Yeah. They guarantee that what they sell is purely, only they can sell it. That's not a sole source,
Source.
if you read it.
It's very
I've
specific
got
on
some
the sole
issues
source.
with this sole source type on, this type of stuff.
Is it software for something you have existing already?
Yes, I'm assuming that's exactly what it is, because,
Was it, I guess it was sole source back then when they purchased it? The software?
oh, I couldn't tell you.
Because that way it's
It's
simply
so
saying
long.
is what we sell, only we can sell it.
Right.
But it's not saying that there's not competitive, same items that can be had. That's my concern.
I can only assume, Doc, that
And I don't,
Melissa had a lot to do with researching that before we presented it to y'all.
Judy, did you see it?
Yes, ma'am. And it's exactly what he said. It's with the, to work with the software that they have now. It's the only one that they could merge together to work.
okay, that's what I'm asking, that somebody, it's a merging of existing technology.
Right. It's to be able to work with what they have in place.
Okay.
The second paragraph says they're competitors, that's what was kind of stuck out.
Say what now, Tim?
The second paragraph says there are other wristbands on the market, and so that's what was
That's what I'm, that's
jumping out
what
to me,
I'm
but if this
talking
is
about.
software for the existing equipment we have, that you're having to buy new software from, that could be a sole source, because the other software won't work for what you already bought.
Which
Is that
is
right?
usually what happens.
Right, I haven't read that, but I'm assuming that we would have to replace the whole entire system, go with someone else.
Is this something you need right away, or if it table it?
I mean, that, I would assume that we're in need of it. I haven't been advised that we're having, major issues with it.
Yeah, I'm not saying you don't need it, I'm just saying it's something that could wait until we find that out. I mean, the problem is, the letter to me is contradictory.
Can you make, can you make a phone call and let us know at the end of the meeting if you need it?
Absolutely.
Well, we need the
still need
letter,
to
we
sell
need the
source.
document indicating that.
Well, I don't have a problem that it's sole source if you already have the equipment and you're limited, it's like having an Apple computer. You can't go put Dell in it, you have to have Apple, so
They don't talk to
that
each
would
other.
be a sole source. No, they wouldn't talk to each other, and so if that's the case, then I'm okay. But
So we
if
need
it's-
something along the lines of the current relevant to that system, some sort of letter or.
Why is it a sole source? I mean, when you say I'm the sole source provider of all Endure ID software
That's
and
what I'm
wristband
talking about.
identification, that's so limiting that they'll always be the sole
Well,
source.
sure,
Right.
we know that.
Get your ideas.
Like Apple saying, I'm Apple. I
You
just,
only can buy Apple products from us, but
Because
there
all
might be
you gotta
other
do is get a
products that
second
could
quote.
be used.
Absolutely.
if
Let's
it's
get another one.
$15,000, so you get a second quote, and that solves the problem anyway, but just come back.
So we could do a substitute motion to, table until we get the
Yes,
information.
or, yeah, just
Second.
I'll get the
Table
list,
until he finds out.
I'll get the list on that,
Okay.
Okay.
make sure it happens.
All in favor of that substitute motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
And I do have another question while you got Melissa. So that Grace Furniture was for a veteran suit, where's that going?
It is for the academy. We have to have a person who's on site that has to stay there with the cadets, because there's a certain point that when everyone goes home for the afternoon, you have to have someone there
Somebody there.
overnight. So we have a person it's a little, I guess you'd call it an apartment that's inside the facility.
It's $23.15.
And actually, I did the
Not bad.
research on that. It was way cheaper than
That's
when
not,
you try to get that through the quote.
$23,000?
No,
No,
2,300, but that's not a bad deal for
It was,
bedrooms.
I'm telling you, that I think it was 8 or 10, 7 or 8,000 that we got quoted through the
That would
actual
make
furniture
sense.
company. I
If
said,
you get
"Nah,
a
we can get
bedroom,
it
a
way,
mattress, and 2 nightstands.
that's it, we can get it way
that's
cheaper
$100
than
yards.
that, way cheaper than
I got a television I'll donate to you if you want.
that. Well, we ordered that, but we appreciate it. A little
Didn't have a
late,
television
Tim,
on
but
there.
a little late, but we just.
You can't hardly get rid of a television nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hate to bring that up,
No, sir, I absolutely, I did not read that. I'm just like you, sole source is, I'm hesitant with that one too, because people try to
That's right.
get around it.
Okay, order authorize the sheriff's office to sell one Glock model 22 serial number PTE 708, asset number 22183 to retiring Deputy Anthony Piazza for a fee of $1 allowed by Mississippi Code.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving mileage reimbursement for in-county travel for the following employees. Motion.
Second.
Motion.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order authorizing disposal of assets per attached list and authorizing inventory clerk to remove the same from the inventory. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving renewal of flood insurance policy for county buildings located at 211 Livingston Drive, Pasco Exchange, and payment in amount of $813. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion.
That's a fire station, by the way, y'all. Sitting right on the water.
That's pretty cheap.
Mhm. Considering how
It is.
it is.
All in favor of the motion,
It's
say
high,
aye.
though. You break your neck, you fall off
They
that.
built it up.
Yeah.
Order authorizing the following transfer from Fire Services Fund 106-900-950 as unspent fire rebate fund for fiscal year 2022.
Motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order authorizing the reimbursement to the board to road fund 150-000-360 in the amount of $220 for personnel costs for Civic Center facility rentals for the month of November 2022 payable from 001-510-581. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order authorizing the reimbursement of road fund of 150-000-360 in the amount of $761.50 payable from 001-180-581 for delivery and pickup of the voters box for runoff elections.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving payments for the following claims.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order authorizing issue of duplicate warrants for $121 and $125 to Brittany M. Spivey for certificate affidavit filed with Chancellor's Court.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order now order approving supplemental agreement number 1 to include 5 additional work days for project number SAP 2461 McKenna Road bridge replacement in Harrison County, Mississippi to install additional riprap to protect the roadable slopes along the roadway and authorizing the board president to execute all necessary documents related to the same. Motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order concurring with the decision of the Harrison County School District to approve the sublease contract between Gulf Breeze Properties LLC and Job Ventures LLC for approximately 2.02 acres of the 16th section land, further described as a portion of tax parcel number 0809C 02 002 000 XXXX Landon Road, Gulfport, Mississippi 39503, and authorizing the board president to execute the same.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order acknowledging the receipt of spreading upon the minutes notification for the Mississippi Department of Transportation confirming that the STP 00240 0550 LPA 106742 702 000 for MPO safety projects at the various routes in Harrison County, and Harrison County has also been approved by the Federal Highway Administration for advertising. Motion.
Motion.
Second. Discussion.
Is this different, Jackie, from that other one?
This is the same project, this is where they sent us the notice that it was ready to advertise, and it's just spreading it on minutes.
I got you.
Would it be much of a problem to just kind of put a description of each one of those projects where they are?
Yeah, I'd like to see. What
Just,
I'll
just
get
to
you-
know such
Yeah, I'll
and such
get
a
you-
road, you know,
Yeah.
and then we will know.
I think they even have little diagrams for each one, I'll get that for you and
Doesn't
send
have
it
to
to
be
you.
long, just
But
let
put
us
it
know
on
where
here,
those
too, so
projects
everybody
are.
can see it.
I think,
Yes, sir.
yeah, I think it's kind of like the STP number, what that is. Okay, forward,
Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving fiscal year 2023 Thailand grants agreements as listed and authorizing the board president to execute the same.
Motion.
Second.
This is
Discussion.
all we received.
That's all we got to prove this go.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving agreements with Thomas White Pickett and Company, Inc. for appraisal services relating to gaming vessels and land, casino, hotel, resorts and land, and industrial businesses, real and personal property, and authorizing the board president to execute same.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Order adjudicating tax sale of August 30th, 2021 on tax parcel number 0811G04 014 000 0111C 02010 000 081 ON 01037 000 081 ON 01036 000 1011D 03051 000 and 0711K04 083000 for 2020 tax erroneous and dust void and ammunition.
Can I miss one of those numbers?
Please repeat that.
Very swift. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All
Who
opposed?
made
Second.
the motion? Is that-
I make the
Second.
motion.
Okay, for a second.
Second.
Second, okay. Motion carries. Order adjudicating. Order
Well,
adjudicating.
that, just so the board knows, that was had been sold to the state, therefore it became consent on that last one y'all approved, I apologize.
Order approving, order adjudicating the tax sale of August 29, 2020 on tax parcel numbers 1109A01 009044 for 2020 tax erroneous and dust void ab initio and for related purposes.
This,
Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Assessor's office recommends this on the basis of error of data, assessment data. So that qualifies if there was an error in the assessment.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving the waiver of rent fees required for the Long Beach Fire and Police Department to host the annual Resilience of Coastal Kids Foundation Christmas Party on December 9, 2023 and December 14, 2024 at the West Harrison Civic Center.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Should we, do we need to adjudicate this?
No.
Today's the-
Actually,
It's not the next
It's the
two
next
years.
I
two
mean,
years.
sorry.
that's 23 and 24.
What's the dates of the lease?
Okay.
We'd already approved the one they had.
So we way ahead.
Yeah.
I thought we were fine.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order adjudicating
and authorize expenditure as listed as necessary to advertise and bring into favorable notices, opportunities, possibilities, and resources in Harrison County, Mississippi, including the county logo being displayed along with link displayed to Harrison County online. Motion. Second. Discussion. Yeah, I got something. Can we, and this is just what I'm gonna suggest, I have people ask me questions. Can we get a copy, either a picture or a screenshot or something of the actual advertisement? Can we
Yeah,
include that
Kim-
in there? Cause I've started kind of requiring that.
Kim
Just my
Thompson is
deal.
supposed to be.
Maybe,
following.
yeah, because
If
I
I
haven't
vote for it,
seen.
I'd require,
Pardon?
if I were voting for it, I definitely.
Well, I would like to make that part of my motion and to require from here on out, not picking these, but, and ask him that she needs to come back and show us what's going on.
She's been having, and sometimes she has some issues.
Or I
Don't
get paid
provide.
to look, or whatever, but,
Well, we shouldn't give the check until we get a copy of what they're gonna do.
well, usually it's before the fact.
Yeah,
But I would just like to put in a little file.
but they ought to have like a
So actually, it may be,
sample.
I would recommend that the advertisement be spread on the minutes after they get approved. Just to
That's
make sure
okay.
that somebody's got a,
Just so we know that we're told that it was
Well-
advertised and this is how.
the concern is if you just keep them somewhere and a year from now, somebody comes in
Okay.
and audits and says, where are they? And somebody goes looking for the file and you don't know where the file is. If you
Okay,
spread
then
them
I
on the
amend my
minutes,
motion
then
that we also include the
Correct.
advertisement to become part of the official minutes.
you can do them all at
Second-
once too,
second that
if you
motion.
want. You don't have to do them
We'll
one by
just
one.
get Kim to start that on the board.
Yeah.
All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed,
No,
motion carries.
But you okay with us getting approved?
yeah, that's what I said, if I voted for it, I would, I demand.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Ron, you
No,
have
I don't
anything
have, I encourage you to.
Yeah.
else? Ron, you have anything else? Just Pam?
Did y'all, I sent an email about the reevaluation of the equalization for the senior resource. Did y'all have a chance to look that over and have any input on that?
What was it for? I'm sorry.
The senior resource equalization for the.
Salaries.
The salary equalization report.
I think I sent my comments.
I am.
Me too.
I'm good.
It was the second revised, not the first one. This is the second.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
hoping
I
we
didn't
were
see it.
taking care of that during the budget, but. we
Yeah,
didn't.
but we didn't. It should be handed down.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
It's about
I
that.
don't believe we got anything, yeah. Thank you.
I don't have anything else.
Only thing I got is I really wanna talk about getting, equalizing the road department and the engineering. I mean, they work their butts off and I started noticing they're not making what the other people are making. Could I motion that Pam maybe do some kind of salary
Check on it.
check on it and see, cause I think they've been passed up on their salaries, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
I think we, also.
comparable, something.
Thank
not
you, that's the word I'm
something-
trying to think.
Not something
Yeah,
that
just
a
do it
county
because
has.
I got a feeling I've watched the city of Biloxi go through 5, 6 engineers. Yes, I got a feeling we're on the low side.
And we also said we would hire one of those people and that they would move up if they, after they proved themselves, and I think they've more than proved themselves.
What are you talking about?
Engineering. We hired her
Well, that's why
at
we
the
wanted
low
to.
end and then, set it cheap.
But both of them.
All of them did. I have, street light on South Car Bridge Road, please.
And if that's state aid road, aren't you
I'll
supposed to
give
be
you that
buying?
back up.
I think he's supposed to buy
Huh?
it.
No, they're.
Making a motion to put
Are
one
you
on.
making a
They're
motion or
building
what?
2 houses up there. I made a motion.
Oh, second, okay.
I'll second it.
Or just waiting for
discussion?
Santa Claus and not paying attention up here.
Motion and second, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
No, sir, Mr. President.
You have anything? Yes.
Merry Christmas, everybody. That's my thing I
Tim,
meant to
being
bring up.
recognized down here.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
Mr.
John.
Young, you have
I don't
anything?
have anything, Mr. President. Can you move me away from her, please? That's my present.
John, we run out of seats over here.
That's the one I did question, we don't have to.
Nothing else to get a
We
motion.
do ask everybody to say a prayer for Mike Leach, let the Lord have a massive, stroke or something last night. Mike Leach, Mississippi State football
Mississippi
coach.
State.
Oh, yeah,
football
oh,
coach.
okay.
You ever heard that?
Mississippi State?
Somebody in the county. So we're gonna.
All in favor of the motion, adjourn, say aye. All opposed?
He's a nice guy.
State, Ole Miss.
That's really important, coming from an old miss.
I like privilege.
Make a motion in the second to adjourn.
Huh?
I make a motion. Okay.
We adjourned.
I thought we already did.
Merry Christmas, everybody.